Days of war in Gaza, yet with Palestinian deaths mounting, there's no apparent end in sight. Israel continues steadfast in meeting its goal of destroying Hamas by any means necessary.
No one will stop us. Not The Hague, not the axis of evil, nor anyone else. It is viable and necessary that we continue until victory, and that is what we will do.
While Israel excuses its deadly operation by saying it's targeting Hamas, the aftermath of the bombings all across Gaza can leave even the most stoic of onlookers in tears. To put it into perspective, 24,000 Palestinians have been killed and more than 60,000 are wounded. 1.4 million people are in shelters facing a looming famine. Civilian infrastructure, schools, hospitals, and waterways have all been destroyed. The UN says that Gaza is now basically uninhabitable.
The massive death, destruction, displacement, hunger, loss, and grief of the last 100 days are staining our shared humanity.
South Africa has accused Israel of committing genocide at the International Court of Justice, providing facts that contradict Israel's narrative.
Israel's special genocidal intent is rooted in the belief that, in fact, the enemy is not just the military wing of Hamas, or indeed Hamas generally, but is embedded in the fabric of Palestinian life in Gaza.
This intent is evident from Israel's conduct in specially targeting Palestinians living in Gaza, using weaponry that causes large-scale homicidal destruction, designating safe zones for Palestinians to seek refuge, and then bombing these.
Israel contested all of the accusations and sent their own legal team to the ICJ, denying the bombing of hospitals in Gaza and assuring they were following international law.
In urban warfare, civilian casualties may be the unintended but lawful result of attacks on lawfully military objectives. International humanitarian law recognizes this reality and provides a framework for balancing military necessity with humanitarian considerations. These do not constitute genocidal acts.
But as the number of pro-Palestinian rallies increase all across the globe, more and more people are tuning out Israel's narrative. And despite Washington ramping up its weapons supplies to Tel Aviv, even they are starting to falter in their support.
Israel's security can rest on the United States, but right now it has more than the United States. It has the European Union, it has Europe, it has most of the world supporting them. But they are starting to lose that support by indiscriminate bombing that takes place.
Palestinian civilians must be able to return home as soon as conditions allow. They cannot, they must not be pressed to leave Gaza. We reject the statements by some Israeli ministers and lawmakers calling for a resettlement of Palestinians outside of Gaza. These statements are irresponsible, they're inflammatory.
Washington has even warned that Israel may actually lose the war if they continue down this path.
The lesson is not that you can win in urban warfare by protecting civilians. The lesson is that you can only win in urban warfare by protecting civilians.
But it seems like Israel is not open to its partner's criticism as it showers Gaza with more airstrikes. Things are so bad that some Israeli civilians are calling for Netanyahu's removal, angry that he's treating Israeli hostages as collateral damage. So with what's happening, New York City Transit.
Start spreading the news.
Yo.
Oh my God.
Rat King.
This is an anti-immigration, pro-French rally if you're scoring at home.
If you're scoring at home?
Y'all need your own apartment.
New York, New York.
All right. It's always been trash. Oh, hey, and welcome to News from the Pew, where we talk about stuff. I'm your host, Rick Barrett, the Armed Catholic. You can find me at thearmedcatholic.com. First class firearm training with the Foundation of Catholic Tradition.
You know the thing.
We're here for you folks. I'll tell you that much. We are here for you, despite the fact most of us besides John are not doing well, but that's all right. It's that time of year. So we're here. We got some stuff to talk about. And let me throw it to the panel, Mr. Jonathan Arrington. How are you, sir? Staying warm, looking very warm right now.
Trying my best here in freezing cold Georgia.
Yeah. And then we have Mr. Stephen Cunningham, who was the first. I think he is patient X0. So through the wonders of the interwebs, he has spread X to me, and we are all not on Twitter, like disease X. So we got to stop naming everything X, because at this point, we don't know what we're talking about. We talk about Twitter. We talk about the disease in China. I just don't know. It confounds me in many ways, shape, or form. But you're looking better, Steve, than the last time we talked, when we talked last week.
Yeah, sorry about last week. I literally couldn't keep. I was out, so yeah, there was no way I could have done. I mean, I got work done. I got stuff done. Obviously, people saw videos come up and books published, but there was no way I could sit here and pretend to look like I was coherent for an hour or whatever.
Yeah, that's the problem. You can sit and kind of just in misery upload videos and things like that. We've all done it, but
there's sometimes I was just close my eyes and just click and just wait, and all right, that's done. I'm gonna change the photo. And
that was the day Steve learned to embrace AI.
No, that was just regular sermon videos. And the AI helped out a lot. I would never been able to read any of that going, or I could have. I would have sounded bad. You could tell that it was a guy. Is that the chain smoker? Reading this, or
yes, it is. But guy with a voice box. But there has been stuff that has taken place, ladies and gentlemen, in the time that we have not been around. The biggest thing we could cover, and we'll start off with, was the Iowa caucus that took place on Tuesday night. I'm sure we all know who won, but in case you missed it because you don't want to look at that stuff, here's a bit of a recap for you.
We and other news organizations have generally stopped giving an unfiltered live platform to remarks by former President Trump. It is not out of spite. It is not a decision that we relish. It is a decision that we regularly revisit. And honestly, earnestly, it is not an easy decision, but there is a cost to us as a news organization of knowingly broadcasting untrue things.
Only in the jab.
Now we know that the vaccines work well enough that the virus stops with every vaccinated person.
Dr. Rachel Madcow, medicine woman.
Now we know that
the lying 12-year-old boy at MSNBC.
Yeah, right. The first transgender. I'm sorry. Did I say that out loud? I apologize, ladies and gentlemen. I'm not feeling good, so I have no.
To use your re-election race.
Well, I don't think Iowa means anything. When the president got 50-some thousand votes, the lowest number of votes anybody's won got, this idea that it's going to run away, he can characterize any way he wants. Let him make that judgment.
He's been indicted 4 separate times. He not only is maintaining his political support, he has clearly increased it. He has clearly consolidated all the support he had and then gained more. And if you think about what that says, what that necessarily says, it is actually kind of frightening if you care about political stability in your country. But it's also very well deserved. What it's saying is that we know that the Justice Department and various prosecutors are accusing Donald Trump of being a felon and are trying to put him in prison. But it doesn't affect our opinion of him and his fitness to be the president because we don't trust those institutions to administer the law. We don't believe in the Justice Department. We don't believe in the FBI. We don't believe in prosecutors in this country. We believe that those institutions of power have been weaponized, have been commandeered, have been corrupted.
Because they have.
And there is no way to read the outcome of this election thus far. Even last night's vote, which you can dismiss as being a caucus, only one state, which is Iowa. All that's true, but Trump didn't even win Iowa in 2016. He was over 50% of the vote. He got He won by 30 points, even though tens and tens of millions of dollars were first poured into Ron DeSantis and then into Nikki Haley. It did nothing. People have tuned out establishment voices. That is the only conclusion you can reach. And if you're like me and you believe those establishment sectors and those establishment institutions are deeply corrupted, then in one way you should be celebratory about that fact, that they really have lost the faith and trust of almost everybody other than partisan Democrats, the only ones who trust these institutions. But if you also value civic stability and just a general peace in the body politic, it should be something very concerning. Generally, good things do not happen once people lose faith in their institutions of authority.
Trump won 51% of the vote. Governor Ron DeSantis of Florida got 21%. Nikki Haley got 19%. In other words, Donald Trump won decisively. At this point, it's hard to see how he's not the Republican nominee, because he didn't just win last night. He triumphed overwhelmingly by a historic margin. Trump won the Iowa caucuses by about 30 points. That's more than double the previous record. That was set in 1988 by Bob Dole. So last night was not close. It was a shocking blowout. Trump did to Iowa what the Vikings once did to the Irish coast. Only smoldering huts remain.
Voice left in this race than this man right here, and that is why I am asking you to do the right thing as New Hampshire and to vote for Donald J. Trump as your next president, because we're not working with a lot of time here.
You know, his nose is already brown enough.
If our kids are in high school before we get this right, we don't have a country left. That's what it means. We've been celebrating our diversity and our differences for so long that we forgot all of the ways that we are the same as Americans, bound by that common set of ideals that set this country into motion. We believe those ideals still exist. This man is going to be your next president to revive them. E pluribus unum.
Stop talking, get off the
from
stage.
many one.
Go away.
And you know how we're doing it? We're doing it by speaking the truth at every step of the way.
Here.
There are two genders in this country. Period. That is the truth. Fossil fuels are a requirement for human prosperity. Drill, frack, burn coal.
You know, that one satire, the Babylon Bee had a great one when he said Trump appoints him as the 7-Eleven commissioner.
Yeah, have him 7-Eleven.
Embrace nuclear energy. Reverse racism is racism. An open border is not a border. Parents determine the education of their children. The nuclear family is the greatest form of governance known to mankind. Capitalism lifts us up from poverty. There are 3 branches of government in the United States, not 4. And the U.S. Constitution is the strongest and greatest guarantor of freedom in human history. That is the truth. We fight for the truth. We stand up for the truth. That is what won us the American Revolution. That is what reunited us after the Civil War. That is what won us 2 world wars and the Cold War. That is what still gives hope to the free world. And if we can revive that dream over group identity and victimhood and grievance,
well, right here is why you see why
then nobody in the world,
never be the VP.
Not a nation, not a corporation, not a virus, not China is going to defeat us.
I have a drink.
That is what American exceptionalism is all about. That is what we are going to revive to, yes, make America great again. Vote for this man right here in the New Hampshire primary. God bless you and your families, and may God bless our United States of America. Thank you, New Hampshire. It's good to see you guys. We're coming back and winning this in a landslide. We will not stop until we get this job done. Thank you all. God bless you. And your
Get
family.
off the stage. Who is this guy? Get off.
That was the money shot. I was waiting for the hug.
The hug is, you ever take that long again, I'm going to bury you. I've got 900 court cases. I don't have time to listen to you do this, okay?
Good to see you guys. By the way,
thank you.
keep texting.
Wow, that's how it's said. Pretty
awesome.
good, right? A lot's going to happen between now and November. Nothing's linear in politics these days. There's a zigzag, so who knows is the point. Biden is so weak that even Donald Trump polls up ahead of him. But look at Nikki Haley's polling. I mean, she beats him by like 12 points in head-to-head polls. So I would prefer a candidate who I think would be a good president and who I know is going to win. And by the way, give us more seats in Congress. That's Nikki Haley.
Well, I had to put that in for Jonathan.
So, John, now that we've watched all that, if you want to give us your thoughts on the caucus, on Vivek dropping out immediately, on the fact that Nikki Haley spent a ton of money in Iowa to come in third, that DeSantis, despite coming in second, loses by 30 points. He doesn't even care anymore. He's kind of just like there, just waiting for this thing to end. Your thoughts on the whole process going out of Iowa and into New Hampshire this week?
I mean, it's the most comical political preparation for the Republicans since I've been old enough to really pay attention to it. So in about 30 years or so. I mean, it's a joke. But I don't know. I almost don't want to say anything because I feel like anything that I would have foreseen has just been so against what actually happened. I would have foreseen that DeSantis. I sent out this link right here to you. Yeah, this guy. I don't know who this Ryan Gerdusky is or Gerdusky. I don't even know how to pronounce his name. But apparently he was trying to tell the DeSantis team way back to just go at it a little bit different, and I guess there were a bunch of yes men, and those are the only people that DeSantis was listening to. I guess the only encouraging thing is that, I mean, the clear winner for the Republicans is going to be Trump, and at least Vivek is kind of with him and sees the writing on the wall, so he's not going to make this more of a specter than it has to be. I don't know. It's all, Haley would be the absolute worst. But it's hard to imagine why DeSantis would still be in it. Like, what in the world is he? How can he be that stupid? I thought he was a little bit smarter than that. I don't know. The only other thing, I guess, is just that I think Glenn Greenwald, I know about his personal life. I know it's bad. But he's a really perceptive guy. He catches some things that a lot of other people miss. And he's been in this kind of game a long time. So I think he's got a point that it's almost like the enthusiasm for Trump, at least in the polls as we're told about him, as we're allowed to see them, seems to be more and more the more trouble he gets himself into, or the more trouble they try to put him into. So, I think he's got a point. Either everyone has completely lost their trust in all of those institutions, and they actually consider that a badge of honor for anyone that would be in trouble with the law. I think that's about where we stand. The only thing is, like, it makes me think, like, who are the other group of people for whom getting in trouble is like it's the sign, it's the badge of being cool. It's like really idiotic teenagers, If you think back to, oh yeah, cool man, because he got in trouble, he got to go to detention. Yeah, cool. I mean, I hate to keep bringing it back to that single comparison, but it's like the movie Idiocracy is just coming to life more and more each step of the way. And as much a joke as it all is, it seems terrifying that we keep going that direction. So I don't know. It's all in a certain sense kind of more and more mysterious to me, just how crazy these things go, because it seemed to me that Vivek was the only one who was talking any sense. But I guess it's not a matter of talking sense anymore. We're not. When has politics really been about who was talking sense? I guess, I mean, Trump hit it off right in 2015 and first bit of 2016, but ever since then, I think it's just his ego has gotten in the way. He's had a bunch of yes men that have.
So I forgot to give this to Steve, and it's my fault. But this whole thing, folks, we got to remember Trump, one of his biggest strengths was his pro-life stance. Not anymore, if you think about it.
This question. Okay. So between you, sir, President Trump, and Ron DeSantis, because you both talk a lot about pro-life, your record, and that's my number one issue, and the cry of my heart is justice for all people. And I've been, vocal and celebrating with you all of your pro-life victories from the past. But then in this campaign, you've also blamed pro-lifers for some of the GOP losses around the country, and you've called heartbeat laws like Iowa's terrible. And so I'd just like some clarity on this because it's such an important question to me. Okay. I'd like for you to reassure me that you can protect all.
First of all, congratulations to this lady for her 15 minutes of fame. Talk about milking a question. Like, he's just thinking, can you just ask me the stupid question? Can you stop with this, please?
Life, every person's right to life without compromise.
Right.
So that's a great question. I appreciate it too. You wouldn't be asking that question, even talking about the issue, because for 54 years they were trying to get Roe v. Wade terminated, and I did it, and I'm proud to have done it. They wanted to get it back, right? You wouldn't have that. There would be no question. Nobody else was going to get that done but me. Yeah. And we did it. And we did something that was a miracle. When I walked onto the stage today, a gentleman in the back, probably works for Fox, nice guy, said, "Sir, I'd like to thank you." I said, "For what?" He said, "You saved 2 million lives in the last 3 years. You saved 2 million lives." And I said, "Thank you very much." I knew exactly what he meant. 2 million lives. And nobody's done more in that regard than me. Now, I happen to be for the exceptions, like Ronald Reagan, with the life of the mother.
Let me just say this, gentlemen. Have you felt or have you heard the growing discontentment towards Reagan in certain circles? How he's being rightly called out for no-fault divorce, gun control, amnesty, the whole rape, incest, life of the mother stuff. Just something to be interested in as Trump compares himself to Reagan.
1986 was that one when he ended up with vaccines or jabs. That came out during his reign too.
Yep. So it's very interesting in that.
Rape, incest. I just have to be there. I think probably 78% or so, Paul, about 78%. It was Ronald Reagan. He was for it. I was for it. But I will say this. You have to win elections. Otherwise, you're going to be back where you were. And you can't let that ever happen again. You got to win.
That's the phrase that pays.
Elections. If you look at it, Ron DeSantis, I don't know what he really believes because, you never know with a politician, and he's just another politician as far as I'm concerned.
So is he.
His poll numbers have gone down to a level that he's going to be out of the race very soon. He's going to be out very soon. I watched him last night. He's standing up with his shoes, his fancy shoes. And he's going to be out of the race within, a lot of people say before New Hampshire. I don't know if that were the reason. I hope it wasn't the reason. I hope it's for other reasons. I can see a lot of other reasons why he shouldn't be. But he's doing very, very poorly. It happened to coincide with that because a lot of people say if you talk 5 or 6 weeks, a lot of women don't know if they're pregnant in 5 or 6 weeks. I want to get something where people are happy. This has been tearing our country apart for 50 years. Nobody's been able to do anything. And again, you can only ask that question, and you ask it brilliantly, and I understand exactly where you're coming from. I love where you're coming from. But we still have to win elections. And they've used this. We have some great Republicans, and they're great on the issue, and you would love them on the issue. And a lot of them have just been decimated in the election. Decimated. I mean, absolutely. So we're going to come up with something that people want and people like. I would love you to, first of all, you have to go with your heart, okay? You have to go with your heart first. Go with your heart, your mind, go with it. But you do also have to put in there a little bit. You have to win elections. But if it weren't for me with Roe v. Wade, you wouldn't even be talking about this up. You wouldn't be asking that question because we're right back. And remember this, they're the radicals. We're not the radicals because they'll kill a baby. Remember I had
he goes on and
with
on
crooked
and on
Hillary Clinton, which I don't call her crooked anymore. I use it now for Joe Biden, as you know. I call her.
So he continues. If that's your first time seeing that, John, we've talked about this before and how it's completely the most non-masculine thing to abandon principles in the pursuit of quote unquote winning. But your thoughts on that response?
Oh, well, I mean, he spent all that time and didn't really answer the question except to say, I'm backing down off the principles. Exactly what you just said. The only thing though is, like, I mean, there are bad things about a lot of politicians out there, but I don't remember even Obama quite being the megalomaniac that Trump is. I don't remember him, I mean, making everything about the good thing that he did, like the victory that he won. And I mean, maybe I'm listening to the wrong clips. I just can't handle much of him. I was enthusiastic about him in 2015, even 2016. I like I had to take off my muffs from my ears. I couldn't hear any more of that. He's such a megalomaniac. So I wonder, like, some people think that he maybe would not get us in as many wars as anybody. I don't think so. I think it may have taken, assuming that everything is more or less what we see, and that it's not all a show on the international stage. I think that the international leaders have him pegged now. I mean, you would have to be a pretty pitiful psychologist or sociologist or psychiatrist to not see what his issues are and kind of how to push his buttons.
Yeah.
So, I think that he would be actually much more dangerous on the international stage. Even if some of the things that he ends up mouthing are more or less to our liking compared to some of the Democrats and compared to Nikki Haley, who actually says the bad stuff out loud, still, I think, Trump's, I think it's pretty clear what he is now. And I think people just have a play day with him if he were elected. So it kind of scares me in that sense, I guess.
Yeah, no, that's a very good point. So based on all that, Steve, your thoughts post Iowa and into now, folks. No, nobody on this panel is rah cheering for the electoral politics. It is literally something to talk about. But it is something we have to keep in mind of, because these people will have an impact on your and our lives, unfortunately. But with that being said, your thoughts, Steve.
I'll give Trump one credit. Recently, where did I put the video? He finally came out. Oh, there it is.
And tonight, I'm also making another promise to protect Americans from government tyranny. As your president, I will never allow the creation of a central bank digital currency. Do you know about that?
Now, that is huge, because DeSantis was the only one that actually said that. And, I mean, how blind man can see Trump is going to be selected. I meant to say selected. He's going to be selected to be in D.C. in the White House, which I forgot about. You guys seen the video that came out on the that Trump put out?
At White House Senior Living, our residents feel right at home. Our vibrant facility offers delightful activities and outings, round-the-clock professional care, and exquisite house-made meals.
Well, I've been eating everything that's put in front of me. I've been eating all Italian foods, basically.
And ice cream.
And ice cream, chocolate chip ice cream.
White House Senior Living, where residents feel like presidents.
I couldn't help myself. I just remember that. But yeah, I mean, if you hold him to that promise, that'd be huge in itself. Because like Jonathan said, he answered that question about pro-life without answering at all. I mean, it literally rambled for 4 minutes like a politician that he is. If you're still in that boat saying that Trump is an outsider, he is not an outsider. He's an insider. Again, look at all the promises back in 2015 what he did, and how much did he do? He literally did the opposite of a lot. Everyone's giving him the road thing. Again, I can't see that not being planned, because we're getting shellacked at the state level. And
Steve, we're having the March for Life tomorrow, buddy. We're having the March for Life in
They're
DC.
still doing it. Yeah. What is the goal there? They're like, oh, we want to make it what they say. They just want to make it unthinkable. Okay. So why are you in DC? Did you guys pay a 10-year lease or something? Maybe that's it. They just don't want to say it.
Well, that's because they got Lindsey Graham as the speaker this year.
the proddies that they got in the speaker list. Anyway, yeah, I mean, Trump's going to pick probably Haley for VP, even though Vivek wants to be it so badly. He can. It's just I don't know if you guys saw it. We joked about the Babylon Bee. Here's the link for it. White House 7-Eleven. That's just great. And then obviously Nikki bombs Iowa after the lackluster performance, which don't rule it out. She probably would. But yeah, Nikki's going to be the VP. Actually, somebody came out the other day saying that they expect her to be it. And that's from what Trump said in it. We have to win. Winning is the important thing, because that's the only thing important about elections is winning. And that's the only thing they care about. They will say anything to win or be selected. Now, Trump may be being more of a quote unquote moderate, so that the powers that be probably told him, hey, you want to be president again, you're going to have to toe this line. And he's not the guy from 2015. Sure, he's saying other things. CBDC is a big one. I don't know, I mean, obviously he can't do anything about that. Literally, there's no power for a president, but who cares? I mean, that's what Biden did when he came. Every president has done that. Day one, what did Biden do when he came in? He, by a power of the pen, revoked by executive order everything that Trump did. What is Trump going to do when he comes back into power? He's going to revoke everything that Biden did. It's literally a selected king version, and I mean, we want that. We listen to what the president says and go, yeah, do that. We want this. How many of us want our man who thinks that we're on the same? We won. Who's we? What did you win? You won what? You still got to pay taxes. You lost your pay, half your, three-quarters, a quarter of your paycheck automatically all the time. That's never going away. Big government's always going to get that, even though they default all the time. And they use your money for the fund wars all over the place and to kill babies all over the place and put out porn all over the place and export trannyism, which somebody brought up flying. I mean, what you see that thing about the airport? What was it? One of the airlines is now all, as long as you're not the white male, you can fly the planes. You can be mentally handicapped to a midget.
That's the FAA. The FAA came out and said that they're going to now try and get like handicapped people and people with paralysis and all this other kind of stuff to get them jobs. It's like, I don't want these. And the crazy thing is, remember the show in Living in Color? The Wayans brother had the greatest superhero ever, Handyman. I mean, that was way before his time. Never underestimate the power of the handicap. And it's just like,
we think one election's going to solve, fix something like that.
No.
Or the WEF will have videos that coming up soon. That's coming out. I mean, none of that is getting stopped. None of that got stopped during his reign. Everything was still going. I mean, don't forget, you were shut down, warp speed. Oh, there's another virus coming out. We unravel. All right, we're going to call this X now. And they already got jabs out. Bill's already talking about that. I mean, it's just, America's next top president. Vivek drops out because people are upset. The dude spent how much time in Iowa, and after an hour, they called it for Trump. Now, and you saw like Jack and those guys saying, hey, be careful what the media says. They might say, hey, it's over. And then that makes all the MAGA people stay at home for votes and all that. But I mean, it was bad weather. One, I get it. Why would you go? It also, to me, is if Trump's in the thing, why would you go out and vote? I mean, he's winning. I mean, the diehards are going to go out.
Yeah,
he's going to, win those type elections easily. I mean, it wasn't even freaking close. I sent you a screenshot of that when you come in. You sent me back. Where'd you get that from? I go, I just literally turned it on. He's up by 300 right off the 0.45 reporting. It's over. Right.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, it's going to be Biden versus Brandon or Trump, and Trump will probably be selected, and then after that you'll get Michelle O, unless Michelle gets thrown in beforehand, and probably going to be a VP of Nikki and the Don.
Yeah. All of that is pretty much on the way.
I mean, he did say, didn't he come out and say he wanted VP something about military backing or something like that?
Well, there's a rumor, a report from NBC saying that if he gets installed, they're gonna look to try and oppose him with the military. So there's all kinds of stuff that's already being floated about when it comes to this. The facade that he's some kind of dictator needs to be stopped is continuing to be pushed.
Well, and on that one, I mean, every president, quote unquote, is a dictator. It's like, because what we just brought up, by the will of a pen, Obama did it, Bush did it, Poppy Bush did it, Reagan did it. I mean, they all done it. I mean, you bring that back 50, 60, 70, 100 years. FDR did it. FDR was literally a dictator. I mean, for U.S., I mean, Lincoln, dictator. I mean, we've had that. So, yeah, it's just the media putting out the storm. And it's probably the media spin on it is just part of the game. They need views. They need clicks. They're not going to – no one's going to watch MSNBC if they're going to talk about Trump in a good way. They got the Trump haters. That's their segment of the population. They got to talk to them, even though they sound ridiculous. They still got to send it. They're not going anywhere. They're not going to get fired. They're not going to get pay raises. They still got to push they got to play their game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's all a game. That's really it is. It's all just to pass the time. It's another version of sports. It's sports for ugly people, I guess, or non-athletes at this point. So that's really what we're looking at there.
WWF wrestling.
Coming. What?
Or WWF wrestling. Or WWE.
Yeah, well, wrestling's at least more entertaining. It can be more entertaining at times, and people are in better shape. But so we have that. New Hampshire's going to come and go. He's going to win New Hampshire. He's going to win pretty much everything. He's going to crush in Super Tuesday. And it's funny because John brought this up. It's all about money. I mean, the reason DeSantis is there is because they got to burn the money from those I'm having such a brain fart. That class that recommends things, right? In DC, that class of people that say, oh, you can totally do it. They have money to burn. So they're just burning it out, and he's going to get burned out, and whatever the case may be. And really, it's just stupid. All of it's just dumb. But that's
his pride too. He's not going to quit because how bad would that look for him in his mind?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's done. The way I look at it, in primaries, you have matches and you have candles. Like Rand Paul was a candle in a primary, meaning that he burned, he brought ideas, he was exciting. People were like, Vivek, in a way, was the candle for this cycle. He was burning, people were excited to see him and all this other kind of stuff. And DeSantis is a match like Jeb Bush. They burned hot real quick, and then they just kind of fizzled out. And his political career, as soon as he's done in Florida, he'll probably be on CNN or something like that as a regular guest, because where else is he going to go? Right. He's burned every bridge to any kind of political future at this point. And it's just, he had a chance, but he listened to the consultants, and that's where it goes from there. So it looks like that's and that's pretty much it for, this part of the cycle. But some other stuff did take place. The WEF was meeting, and our favorite Argentinian president was up there speaking, and everybody, lost their minds again because he said the base things, and it's just like, okie dokie. I mean, enjoy it while it lasts, I guess.
That's just a clip of a 26-minute speech.
Yeah.
Neo-Marxists have managed to co-opt the common sense of the Western world. They achieved this through the appropriation of the media, culture, universities, and yes, even international organizations. The final case is very serious, as it involves institutions with huge influence on the political and economic decisions of the countries in these multilateral organizations. Fortunately, more of us dare to raise our voices, as we see that if we don't confront these ideas head-on, the only possible destiny is more state, more regulation, more socialism, more poverty, less freedom, and consequently, a worse quality of life.
We make sure that for all these vaccines, that there's enough capacity, that there's competition so the prices keep going down. And we will have new vaccines. We'll have a TB vaccine, malaria vaccine, HIV vaccine, and even the things like COVID vaccines, we need to make them have longer duration, more coverage, and we're going to change, instead of using a needle, to use a little patch. So the pandemic really highlighted that we've been underinvested in those innovations, and our partners in
Can I get a vaccine for disease X that I'm going through right now? Because I'll take it.
Ecocide as a word is becoming better known around the world, and the concept is generally mass damage and destruction of nature. But legally speaking, what our organisation and other collaborators aim to do is to have this recognised legally as a serious crime. Because one of the issues that sort of pervades all of this discussion is that we have a kind of cultural, very ingrained habit of not taking damage to nature as seriously as we take damage to people and property. And that, I mean, if you're campaigning for human rights, at least you know mass murder, torture, all of these things are serious crimes. But there's no equivalent in the environmental space. And so, unlike an international crime like genocide that involves a specific intent, with ecocide, what we see is actually what people are trying to do, what businesses are trying to do, is make money, is farm, is fish, is do all of these things that are producing energy and so on as well. But what's missing is the awareness and the conscience around the side effects, around the collateral damage that happens with that.
Yeah, people live.
To what Carlos said about agriculture. And this is, I think, really important to understand. And it's a little depressing, but I think if we don't understand it, we can't fix it. So in the case of agriculture, so we know, as you said, agriculture, particularly animal agriculture, is a major source of greenhouse gas emissions, a major driver of climate change. So one thing people can do to help, in this case, is to eat less meat. So what are we seeing happening in the United States? The agriculture industry is spreading disinformation. But here's where it gets particularly tricky. Not about climate change. They're spreading disinformation about the public health benefits of a plant-forward diet. So one of the great things about eating less red meat, and you don't have to eliminate it altogether, but just eating less, good for the planet and it's good for your body. So this is a win-win solution, and it's something that we all could do. We all have the power. We all have agency over what we eat. But there are researchers in the United States who work on the health benefits of a plant-based diet who have been attacked by the same people who attack climate scientists. So this isn't about public understanding science or not being transparent. This is about an organized attempt to confuse people.
I'm just typing. It makes me want to cut off all communication and run to the Appalachians and just kind of live amongst the skinwalkers and other cryptids, because they're probably better company than these psychos.
Well, Jonathan was having a hard time. I mean, yeah. Here's the website. This is just in the last couple of days. So if you really want to drive yourself bonkers, look. I mean, they video everything, and it's just as bad or worse than what those clips were right there.
Oh yeah, it's just such self-aggrandizing, the way that shut up. People have been eating meat for thousands of years. People have been eating pigs and cows and ducks and everything for thousands of years, and we survived. We were actually a lot healthier 1,200 years ago than we are today, with seed oils and all the other kinds of things that we're dealing with. So the fact of the matter is, these people, yeah, it's all about money, Steve. You're 100% right. It's all about the money that's being printed and being distributed, and just making sure that, they return to a different form of peasantry. Right. We're not peasants anymore in the sense that we have farms to work and all these other things under the fiefdom. It's a different fiefdom. It's just a new, different version, same thing. You okay down there, John?
Yeah, I mean, literally, I had to mute it. But it got me thinking. I mean, seriously, I can't hear those idiots. Some people can, like Steve, I think, has a gift from God, because I mean, the average mortal just cannot handle that. But it got me thinking in the silence of not having to listen to that horrible voice. That is really the heart of the issue. And I'm glad Steve actually put up there the little thing where it's got, they've recorded all those things. I mean, can you imagine us being any further away from our so-called fellow citizens than we are right now. So what I mean, guys, is, I mean, literally, I cannot listen to those people for. I heard it like 5 seconds. I had to mute it. So sorry. You know, I saw it kept going. You know, I'm sure they said some horrible things there, but the very fact that they have people like Kerry still speaking.
Yeah.
Here's what that tells you. It tells you that their concept of self-awareness is not even 180 degrees opposite ours. It's so contrary to ours. It's hard to imagine it being any more contrary, because we heard him make a fool of himself when he tries to, excuse why he's flying private to get to these conferences, and basically anyone with half a brain says that's the most retarded thing I've ever heard. It makes no sense, and yet they still consider him an authority, or he's still allowed to speak there multiple times, apparently. I mean, I saw several videos with Kerry's face in there. Like, guys, that is the crux of the matter right there, is that we are living on separate planets from those people. The very fact that they could get words like they got, at least in the 5 or 6 seconds that I heard, like that out of their mouths, and that we know it's BS and just ridiculous like that. I mean, we are on different planets. So, like, that's why, anybody asks me, the very few people that really care, what do you think about what's coming? I can't even imagine what's coming in 2024, because I feel like the polar opposites of the sane and the insane, what we would call the sane and the insane, have never been further apart than they are now. I mean, we are just so far removed from what they consider reality. I mean, but before, what you could do is you could peg it and you could say, based on these vices, based on these desires that are being, that people are caving into and just making that their greatest good, that's why they're going after A, B, C, or D. And I mean, yes, these people are still going after fame and power and certain pleasures and all, but the way they're able to justify it, in the way that no one else is saying, like, dude, are you trying to recreate Plato's, cave here? Like, what? I mean, you taking us for that much of an idiot? I don't think in the history of mankind that it's ever been quite this juxtaposed, the sane and the insane. So I don't know. That's what those few seconds of listening to those folks made me think, is that we are so far apart in reality that you can't compare it to anything in the past. So the folks that say, like, it's never been worse, they have a point. Okay, I think they have a point. It doesn't mean that everything has never been worse before, but as far as us not being like our fellow human beings over there, like that, we just, they have that point, I think. So I'll give that to them.
Yeah, I mean, well said all around, John, in that regard. And it's kind of incredible that well, it's not really, Steve, that we let it get to this point, because everybody's so insulated with their own lives that by the time this stuff is launched, and I use the term launched correctly, it's kind of too late for us to really know what to do. It's very overwhelming, because they come out with their panels and their books and their all their other things. It just seems like it's so much because we haven't taken things seriously at the levels of government we needed to.
Yeah, I mean, for this, I mean, if you looked at the YouTube channel part, I guess I don't want to say hope on it, but a lot more people, look at the numbers, a lot more people watch these. I mean, recent ones, not too much, was an hour ago, but 6.2 thousand, 8,000. You go back to 2023 and 2022 when I was watching this stuff, and there was only a couple hundred. I mean, nobody was watching any of this. So I guess more eyeballs are they're not getting away with as much, in the sense of, I mean, like, how many people a couple years ago would have looked at you and said, "You're nuts. They're not talking about getting rid of the food. They're talking about getting rid of meat." There they are again and again. More people are calling it out, posting it, and getting more exposed, putting the light on it a little bit more. I mean, this guy, I mean, what's his face? Gutierrez the phase out of fossil fuels is essential and inevitable. Then you have Blinken talking about Ukraine has been a profound strategy failure for Putin. So, I didn't click the things. There's right here. Here's Blinken talking his nonsense, and there's Gutierrez right there. So I mean, they're still doing their plans of what they want to do, phase out, which is funny because what's going on in Chicago. What did I put in? Snow. You guys haven't seen this?
Oh, it's hysterical.
Thank you. That cold is also causing some big-time headaches for Chicago area owners of electric vehicles.
Yes, I never thought we'd say this, but it's true. As Dane Placco reports, the low temperatures have caused some headaches for owners looking to charge their cars.
Electric cars may be the way of the future, but it's clear there are some problems when it comes to charging them in Chicago's deep freeze.
Oh, we got a bunch of dead robots out here.
Dead robots. Dead Teslas packed the parking lot at this Tesla supercharging station in Oak Brook, a scene mirrored at other supercharging stations around the Chicago area.
Man, this is crazy. It's a disaster, seriously.
With temperatures falling into the negative double digits, these charging ports have stopped charging, leaving many Tesla owners stranded here in long lines since Sunday.
Nothing, no juice, it's still on 0%. And this is like 3 hours this morning being out here, after being out here 8 hours yesterday.
Has it been charging?
No, not at all.
It just isn't working?
At all. It's just frozen, and so I'm now getting it towed to the Tesla service center because that's my only option at this point.
Adding to their frustration, they say, is that they're getting no help when they call Tesla for assistance.
No response from Tesla. We have been suffering since yesterday afternoon.
These are unusually cold temperatures, but do you find this acceptable?
No, not at all. Not really. I think it's less on the actual vehicle and more on the infrastructure.
Tesla has not responded to our emails for comment, but an automobile expert we talked to said that the owners of all EVs should hit the battery precondition button on their car before attempting to charge it in extremely cold weather.
I mean, and then imagine like a blizzard in the interstate or something. Where do you want to be? You want to be in your car that has a heater and you know that's going to make it through, or do you want to be in an EV in the middle of a blizzard, in the middle of nowhere, looking at that battery just go do 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 do, and then you're
running the heater, yeah,
all because of this earthism religion. Which, I forgot about this. All right, everyone probably saw Michael Knowles talk about the WEF have an actual witch to cast spells on the panelists. They literally, this thing literally goes by and just starts blessing these people or something like that. Well, what's the other side doing? By the way, Derek got upset about Michael Knowles talking about witches, and he's so open-minded that we just don't understand the beliefs of shamans and indigenous leaders as witches. He goes, my guess that the religious types in the freedom movement would happily burn us at the stake if given the chance. Apparently, I didn't know he was a witch. But he's doing the greater reset, which is people that I listen to, like The Last American Vagabond and Corbin, all that they do this as well. Bros, good ideas, trying to be the opposite of WEF. They literally put it on the same week. This is literally a Pachamama opening to this. I mean, the guy, they're from Ecuador. He's telling people to put your prayer on a rock and bring it up to them. They do this horn blow into the four corners of the world and things like. So I mean, Derek and I got into it going because I told him, dude, what in the world is? We're not open-minded enough to embrace this paganism that will save us, that will unite everybody. Oh yeah, that's the problem out here. But yeah, I mean, so this is the counter-offensive. Literally, pagan blessings. Bring your prayers on a rock. Talk about superstitious. You got this where's this guru at? There's a yogi in here.
They got it all, man.
Looks like Kref from Trolls if it plays. I don't know if it's gonna play. At the end of it was pretty much like a Recce guy afterwards. So yeah. The freedom movement's kicking is kicking just I saw that going. I sent it to a couple people asking. It's kind of like when I sent a book to Pamela about Acker about, hey, am I looking at this one? Am I seeing evolution every page? She goes, yes, it's on every other paragraph. like I sent to a couple, like Hitchborn and a couple others. Hey, have I seen Pachamama? This is literally Earthism prayers, and it's unfreaking real that here's our team, our side, or the team that's supposed to go afterwards is literally the same as the other guys, except just where's the Catholics? As a sermon, I posted this morning, the priest goes, "It's time for us to wear it on our sleeve in public."
Agreed, and 100%. And but first of all, before we do that, Steve, we have to bring everybody back. Right? There's so much of a divide between Catholics at this point that if we had our Catholics on the other side, the left cats, if you want to call them, wear it on their sleeve, wouldn't really be doing us much good in any way, shape, or form. So there's got to be some kind of reconciliation, some kind of bringing back of everybody under the fold before we can even start to think about doing that process. And
just like we're talking about the WEF and brought up Catholics, everyone was upset about Pope Francis's letter to the WEF. If you actually read the letter, it's not that bad. If anybody can call me and say, "Hey, you're wrong," tell me why. So just like anything else, you see it and you automatically like, "Oh, this is bad. We got to retweet. And this is bad," because we don't even read the stupid things anymore. We just get mad.
Well, there's a lot of money in anger farming. That's really where it's at.
That's not making me a WEF fan or saying that Pope Francis is the greatest pope in the history of the world. That's just stating a truthful thing. It wasn't that bad. The WEF sucks, and I hate that the Pope is friends with them, but the letter wasn't that bad.
No, it wasn't. John, you have any thoughts on anything we covered just now, or are you just like, I don't care?
I mean, it's harder and harder to, I guess, give a lick is one way to put it. It's but which is kind of scary too, because we are still, as Aristotle called us, political animals. We're meant to live in society, and as we were just saying a little bit ago too, it's like if we've never been further apart, then it's pretty scary for whatever sort of pressures may come in the future, because it's just not gonna go well if we try to conciliate one side or the other, and the other side's just gonna, as Steve just said, really not think, just be mad, and then kind of go at it like that. I mean, that's why I feel like I'm kind of useless actually on the show anymore, because I mean I have to just stop looking more and more at any news. I mean, it's only from a few friends that I would open up in any sort of link or anything now, because you've got the difficulty with what you can believe based on a news report anyway, but then you've got just almost any reporting group that's reporting the quote unquote news is going to be looking at it so strictly from their lens, without any sort of consideration for how you might view this from another side, another angle, or just to kind of give the other side its fair due, what's due there, and justice. That I don't know, to see more and more of that kind of injustice to the truth is hard to deal with, and so I'm thinking more and more about taking care of my family and just talking face to face with folks that I know instead of looking at any sort of news. But that comes with its own dangers, because then you kind of miss out on what bad folks at the WEF are actually planning. So there's a catch-22 there, and it's a bad situation. But I'm less and less plugged into any of this news anyway, so it's hard for me to say much that would other than that would be sensible.
No, I feel it, because you guys know I used to do clown play. I haven't done it in quite some time because it's just not been there. I mean, my heart's been Jonathan will appreciate this. You start reading the church fathers, you start moving a little bit further away from worrying about the secular stuff as much, and it's literally like uppercuts in the face. Like, just why are you focusing on all this? And obviously, yes, I'm not focused as much. We're just giving out the info on this again. Not black pill, because you can't be black pill if you have hope. And I was reading one priest book yesterday.
Hold on a second.
Your country is heaven. That's our homeland. Now we could be, yes, as homeland here, worry about politics to a sense. Don't let it consume you. Garcia Moreno. I mean, you see King St. Louis. There's great saints and blesseds that were in office and did things like that, but we don't have. Even the guys that are pushing for us, you got to have the foundation first before you can run for office or anything like that, so that you can fight this nonsense that are coming in. If you go to DC, I'm going to go to DC and change. Yeah, good luck. You're going to get the buzzsaw is going to get you. Even if you got some kind of foundation, we think it was Phil Neri said that you take your advice from yourself, you take it from a fool. Get a spiritual director or somebody like that, and then you tell them, hey, am I ready? Probably 99% of the time they're going to say no, but we don't want to hear that as we're Americans. We can do it. One priest, Father Abernathy, brought it up because sometimes you think of these people that go online, I'm going to save the church. Who, you? I mean, by what? By hitting record? I mean, what are you doing? What is the goal every time you click the record button or post something? Is it to get clicks? And yeah, it's. I mean, even the news stuff, I've throttled down from sharing a lot of news stories because I'm just like, all right, well, trying to focus more on, reading the good, true, to beautiful instead of. I mean, I keep an eyeball on a lot of this stuff, but I haven't watched as much as I used to.
Well, I mean, you also, if you watch it enough, you start to see that it's just cycles. It's really the same thing, just a different coat of paint a lot of the time. Because the ideas that are being promoted, there's nothing new. There's nothing new that's being promoted. It's just different coats of paint and people moving on there. If we don't have anything left, I think we'll because folks, just for me, I'm starting to kind of run out of energy here. And so if we don't have anything else to cover,
go for
it. Do we have Saints of the Week and cry rooms?
I'll go ahead and start. I'll put the state of Texas. Yeah. And for Saint of the Week for
Grand River is served as a landing point for illegals crossing into the U.S. in more than 2 years. This means not even the feds can patrol there. Matt Finn live in Eagle Pass to tell us how it's going. I guess is this day one or day two, Matt? Good morning.
Essentially day two. This all started developing yesterday, Bill, and it's a rather remarkable situation.
And you can click it, you can watch it. It's a couple minutes, but it's Texas seized control of what they're supposed to do. They're taking care of their own problem, finally.
Actually starting to arrest migrants as well.
Yeah.
Started doing that. Yeah.
Tell the feds to go take a hike and do your own thing. My cry room, I'll put in the people that spray the skies and do cloud seeding. I know you guys probably have seen the storms that come through the last week, and we had floods all over the place. Charlotte was underwater. We had flash flooding all over. Cloud seeding. I mean, it's pulling more water out of the sky. They did it in Melbourne. What happened? There was more floods down there. They've done it out west. They get more snow. You get more floods everywhere. No one's going, oh, well, look, it's climate. Yeah, man-made climate change by spraying the stuff all over the place and trying to get more rain out of the sky. Yeah, man-made. That's not normal. And today the sky, they were painted. It was a doggone TikTok, left, right. I looked up at going to get some milk today, and there was literally an X in the sky going, oh, yeah, that's normal.
It is. What are you talking about?
Speaking of X, at the beginning.
Right? Yeah, it's a preview for Disease X. It's a harbinger of things to come in that regard. Before I go, do you have one, John? Or are you just like, nah?
No, I mean, I just thinking more and more about how we, are talking about keeping it local. There was somebody that dumped a bunch of trash on a road near us here in the Atlanta metro. And we and somebody else, especially somebody else, because we picked up some of the good stuff that was dumped out, like actual solid windows that were just there. And we picked that up. That before it gets broken, and just because the kids could have fun playing with, spare windows that are solid and actually encased in good solid wood, did something like that. And thought, well, that, and then someone else comes and actually gets the dirty, nasty stuff. Who's going to do this kind of thing when and if the government structures that would normally pick up things like that fall apart? Well, hopefully somebody that cares whether or not, like our kids are always saying, "Daddy, that's ugly." So, well, all right, I guess we got to do something about it. And somebody else did, and actually did a little bit more of the harder work. We we kind of had some benefit from it. So that's something right there that goes to making the situation around you a little bit better, which is something that St. Anthony, the Great, who's feast just celebrated yesterday, was always interested in doing according to St. Athanasius. Just make the area right around you better. And then in my cry room, I think I would go with those on any level, near me or far away from me, who always assume the worst of the one who's doing the punishing of other folks. It's like, are these people forgetting, or maybe they're not exercising their paternal or marital duties in the way, having sometimes just lay down the law and say, no, we can't do this. Sorry, and someone says that doesn't seem right, doesn't seem fair. And it's like, well, do I have to explain it every single time? And then sometimes when you do explain, they say, oh, okay, well, I guess I see why you did that. Naturally, because most of us are rebellious and following after Satan more than we are our Lord, we want to say, I'm not going to serve. I don't want to serve, and I don't want to obey authority. But usually, when authority has to do something, has to punish someone or take some good away from someone else, I mean, there's 99.9% of the time, there's some reason why. Okay. Even if it's not justified, even if it's a really poor reason. I mean, do we want to act like children and always pretend like it's always coming back on us and no fair? It shouldn't be. I mean, that's the way children act. That's the way my children, when they're being bad, that's the way they act. As they don't really think they could have possibly done anything wrong. And then when they get around to thinking about it, like, okay, I guess there was maybe a little bit of a reason why so-and-so got punished, my sibling, whoever it may have been. And if Catholics ever fall into that, as they tend to, I'll make it a first person plural, as we tend to do more and more when we have, bishops and popes and priests who aren't to our liking, when we start to do that, that is the most un-Catholic thing imaginable. All right, just always assuming that because now instead of assuming the exercise of power is always for the good, which is what they mocked the pre-Vatican Church, pre-Vatican II Church for doing, just always assuming that it's always going to be used for the good. Now, I mean, are we falling into the opposite vice? Are we just always assuming that any sort of exercise of authority where somebody we consider to be good has something taken away, that's always bad? I mean, we're jumping to the opposite extreme, and so I'm just I hope I don't do that this coming week, but for those who have done this over the past week, time to stop acting like children and start acting like adults.
Wow. Excellent. That's excellent. Great points there, John. Really, it's kind of hard to go after that, so for my saint of the week, this actually just came up while we were doing the show. And there it is. Whitlock's having E. Michael Jones on.
Holy cow.
What?
Wow.
So, I don't know whether that's a saint of the week or not, but
that could go either way. That could go, wow.
Jones is the Catholic white Louis Farrakhan. Can't miss episode of Fearless tonight. So there you go, folks. We'll put that under saint of the week on that one. Because that's Hey, Whitlock's leaning more and more into the Catholicism stuff, guys. So if we can get Whitlock on our team, that would be, we can get him back to the one true faith. That would be huge.
Next thing you have Beck interviewing EMJ.
Yeah, well, that would be even better. And for my cry room, it's a made up birthday. It's not real.
You got balloons all over the place. That's cute.
It is, because it's my birthday for the armed Catholic. I'm going with the Democrats in Washington who wanted to put a bullet tax on the population. They wanted to levy an 11% tax on the entire population of Washington for the privilege of using ammo. Go pound sand. No. Just no. Don't do that. So that is all we got today for for this episode of the Daily Mag Dump. Thank you guys for hanging out with us. Please like, subscribe, share, hit the notification bell. We'll see you next week, where hopefully I am only partially going through with Disease X, and we'll see. Maybe I'll have the jab by then. But either way, God bless and Viva Cristo Rey.